Pathological lying could finally be getting attention as a mental disorder. CNN. When Timothy Lubine set out to write a book about deception in 2016, he wanted to include the chapter on one of its most extreme forms, pathological lying. I just couldn't find any good research based on this, said Levine, chair of the Department of Communication Studies at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. Now it seems it's the only thing anyone wants to talk to him about. Santos has brought more reporters to me in the last couple of weeks than probably in the last year, Levine said. Santos, of course, is a U.S. Republican, George Santos, a Republican from Long Island, who was recently elected to represent the New York 3rd Congressional District. In the month since his re-election, key claims from Santos' biography, including where he earns his college degree, his employment at Citigroup and Goldman Sachs, an animal research rescue group he says he founded, and his Jewish religious affiliation have withered under the scrutiny of reporters and fact checkers. Now he says he doesn't have the college college degree. He wasn't employed by Citigroup or Goldman Sachs, and the IRS has no record of his animal rescue group. He also says he never claimed to be Jewish, but rather he was Jewish. Santos defended himself in media report interviews in December, saying that the discrepancies were the result of resume padding and poor word choices, but that he was not a criminal or the flawed. It's not clear what is driving Santos' statement, but the story has given professionals who study lying in its most extreme forms a rare moment to raise awareness about lying as the mental disorder. One they says has been largely neglected by doctors and therapists. It is rare to find a public figure who lies too so frequently in such horrible ways, says Christian Hott, a psychologist who directs the Human Deception Laboratory at Texas Women's University. Psychiatrists have recognized the pathological lying as the mental afflictions since the late 1800s. Yet experts say it has never been given ser- serious attention, funding, or real study. It doesn't have its own diagnosis in the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM, the Bible of Psychiatry. Instead, it is recognized as a feature of other diagnoses like personality disorders. As a result, there is no evidence based way to treat it, even though many pathological liars say they want to help to stop. The standard approach to treating lying relies on techniques borrowed from cognitive behavioral therapy, which emphasize the understanding and changing thinking patterns, but no one is sure that this is the most effective way to help. I don't know necessarily what's the most effective treatment, say Drew Curtis, an associate professor of psychology at Angelo State University in Texas, who studies pathological lying. Curtis had someone offered to drive across the country to see him for treatment, which he says he wasn't able to offer. So that's the heartbreaking side of it for me as a clinician. People that are wanting to help and can't have a help, Curtis said. Longtime collaborators Curtis and Hart recently published a study laying out evidence to support the inclusion of a pathological lying as the standalone diagnosis in the DSM. Over the years, Hart said almost 12, 20 people have proposed the definitions of a pathological lying, but there's a very little overlap between them. The only truly common feature is that these people lie a lot. Most lying is normal. The first thing to know about pathological or compulsive lying is that it is rare. Levine says his studies show that most people tell the truth most of the time. These really prolific liars are pretty unusual, said Levine, whose book about deception, Stupid, was published in 2019, which isn't to say that lying isn't common. Most people lie sometimes, even daily. In his studies, people lied up to twice a day on average. Levine himself regularly lies at the grocery store when workers asked whether he found everything he was looking for since the COVID-19 pandemic began. That answer is almost always no, but he says yes anyway. One of his students worked in the retail clothing store and regularly lied to people who were trying on clothes. Another, a receptionist, lied to cover for a doctor who was always running late. That's all pretty normal, Levine said. He believes that honesty is our default mode of communication simply because people have to be honest with each other to work effectively in big groups, something humans do uniquely well in the animal kingdom. But sticking to the fact isn't easy for everyone. Defining pathological lying. In their studies, Hart and Curtis have found that most people tell an average of about one lie a day. That's pretty normal. Then there are people who lie a lot, about 10 lies a day on average. Hart and Curtis call prolific or if especially consequential liars. Someone like Bernie Madoff, who duped and defrauds investors. For example, Big Liars, which is also the title of their recent book. Big lying is pretty unusual. Pathological lying is even more rare than that. Hart thinks he's only ever interacted with two people that met the classical case study description of pathological lying. It was dizzying, Hart says, when people start to lie so much that they can't stop or that it begins to hurt them or people around them. That's when it becomes abnormal and may need treatment. It's more the clinical category of people who tell the excessive amounts of lies that impairs their functioning, causes distress, and poses some risk to themselves or others, Curtis said, sharing the working definition of a pathological lying that he and Hart hope will eventually be included in the DSM. What we found, examining all the cases, is that the lying appears to be somewhat compulsive, Hart said. That is, they are lying in situations when a reasonable person probably wouldn't lie, and it seems like even to their own detriment in many cases. It tends to cause dysfunction in their lives, Hart said, including social relationship and employment problems. On some level, pathological liars knows they are lying. When confronted with their lies, they will typically admit to their dishonesty. Lying can also be a feature of other disorders, but Hart says that when they assess people who met the criteria for pathological lying, they found something interesting. It turned out that the majority of them don't have don't have another psychological disorder, and so it seems like lying is their principal problem, he said, lending weight to the idea that it deserves to be its own diagnosis. The American Psychiatric Association, or FPA, publishes the DSM and regularly reviews proposals for new diagnoses. Curtis says he has been gathering evidence and is in the process of filling out the paperwork the APA requires to consider whether pathological lying should be a new diagnosis. Some jobs seems to reward the ability to lie. As for whether certain professions seems to be attract people who lie more than average, it's hard to say. That's a complicated question. It is not that people who lie a lot tend to gravitate to certain jobs. Rather, certain jobs like sales, for example, probably rewards the ability to lie smoothly. And so these professions may be more likely to have a higher concentration of people who lie more than average. The evidence we have suggests that the politicians aren't by their nature any more dishonest than the difficult person, hard to say. However, when people go into politics, there's pretty good evidence that the most successful politicians are the ones that are more willing to bend the truth, and so they may be the ones more likely to be re-elected. Only time will tell how the situation will play out for Santos. So far, he has registered calls to step down, saying he intends to serve his term in Congress. This week, though, Santos announced he would step down from any committee assignment while the investigations are ongoing.